Hi everyone and welcome back to the next diecast. For today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Norev Mercedes Benz S-Class. So this model is based off the 2014 through 2017 Mercedes Benz S-Class. I believe it's the S550. There's no badge in the back that says exactly which S-Class it is, but this is like the extended wheelbase sedan, as you can tell by the length in the rear door. So it's probably an S550. Norev also sells the facelifted version of this generation in the AMG line. So in 2017, they redid, I think, the bottom lip here, and I think maybe the back too, and added some new wheels and whatnot. The all-new S-Class just came out for 2021. It looks really, really nice. So I would imagine that Norev will be making models of that too at some point in the near future. I think the new one is a 2021 model year car, so probably in the next year or so, we should see models from Norev on that generation. And I don't know of like the generation name, like the letter and number code that Mercedes Benz uses, but it's the newest one. So you can find this model here for around $90 to $120, depending on where you actually buy it from. This was a birthday gift for my parents back in 2018. I think they paid only like $90 for it, which is the lower end of the price range for this particular model. But it's been made for a few years now. It also comes in a darker kind of bluish gray and a couple other colors too. And that AMG line I talked about, that 2017 version, that comes in its own set of colors. And the details on both models are pretty similar, so you could kind of count this review towards that newer model I mentioned, but this will mostly apply to this older model here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details of this model, and there are many. And actually, before I start with the details, let me show you a couple of accessories that this model comes with. So, opening up the box, you get the model, and you also get this little screwdriver here. I've only used this once to actually unscrew the model from the styrofoam that it came in, but I think other newer models come with this same screwdriver. Not that Mercedes Maybach that I recently reviewed, that's a newer release, so I guess in the last couple years they changed their box design and didn't offer these screwdrivers anymore, but it's still cool to have. It works with other screws too, with model cars and whatnot. And you get this very lovely handling glove. This is the only model I have in my collection that came with its own glove. I'm not going to put it on right now, but it's a good size. Like, here's my hand, and then here's the glove. I've used it a couple times, but in theory, if you were to buy multiple Norev models that come with these, you could have your own little collection of screwdrivers and gloves to go with your collection of cars. So that's a little bit cool. I don't think Auto Arts or anything come with those, accessories, but these Norev models do, some of them at least. So in terms of detail, we'll start up here with the front of the model, as always. The headlights are very well done. You can see they have the LED pattern going down, kind of like an arc a little bit. And the lenses are nice and flush with the metal, as you can see. And they also do a nice job with those bulbs in the center. I guess they're like the halogen bulbs or whatever you call them. But everything's flush and looks very well detailed. And they're cast in separate plastic pieces. The center grille here is perforated and it looks very nice. This almost looks like a metal grille, but it's actually made of just a chrome plastic. But that's not really a big deal because this badge up here is actually a separate metal piece, which looks really, really cool. And Norev actually gives you a spare logo too. I don't have that here with me, but in the box, if you get the model new, it'll come in a little baggie. So if this ever falls off, you can actually replace it with the logo that Norev gives you. So that's a really cool thing that they do. This lower grille here is it's slightly cheap looking because it's not perforated, but at least it's there and it's, flush and everything like that. I like these other lower grills down here. They have that separate kind of chrome piece in there. I don't think it's a turn signal or anything. It's just kind of like a chrome accent piece, but they look very nice overall. And the paint quality on this model is fantastic, as you can expect from a Norev model. This is painted in the diamond silver metallic. Mercedes-Benz actually still offers this paint color on a lot of their cars. I think the S-Class, the 2020 version, I think it still comes in this color. I don't know if this color will make it to the 2021, which is the next generation, or not. But I think it looks really nice. It kind of has like a bluish hue to it in certain lighting, which I think looks really, really cool. But yeah, just like the metallic paint sparkles and everything like that, and it just looks very nice overall. And the panel gaps on this model are also Well, they're okay, at least for the hood here. There's a bit of a large one here, but you can't really see that from a far distance. And the doors are nice and flush, as you can see, because they're metal to metal, so they're nice and flush with the rest of the body. On the side here, we'll take a look at the wheels. I really like these wheels. Norev did a great job with detailing them and whatnot. There's the Mercedes Benz badge in the center there. And of course, you have the spinning brake discs and the stationary calipers. Full suspension, unlike that Maybach. But the Maybach, I think, might have suspension. It's just very hard to actually use it. And full steering, of course. And just like the Maybach, the wheels and steering are very like noisy. You almost feel like something's like being broken. And nothing's being broken. It just makes that weird kind of, you know, squeaky, clicky noise. But that's not a big deal. They do a nice job with the trim. You can see there's some lower chrome trim on the door. It's very hard to see because of how thin it is. But that is actually a separate chrome piece, and Norev does a great job with that. Also with the separate door handles and this other chrome trim around the doors right here. A little bit uneven between the passenger door and the front driver's door, but from a far distance you can't really see that. But up close it's a little bit kind of annoying to see that. But it's probably just a factory defect, so that's not a big deal. And the mirrors, of course, they're plastic, but they do have the same paint as the rest of the car, and they're extremely sturdy. So they're not going to fall off or anything like that or get, you know, bendy and whatnot. You can see up here there is a full sunroof. Looks very nice. Again, it's flush with the car. So that means that most of the roof's made of plastic just because this is a full sunroof. But this part actually back here is made of metal. So they have like a metal portion, and then they have the sunroof and then the rear window. But everything is nice and flush. I know on older videos I've seen of this model, the rear windshield seems to be loose, but on this one, it's completely flush and it's completely intact. So that might just have been a factory defect for those particular reviewers. I'm not too sure about that. I got this in 2018, and this model came out in 2015 or 14, so 2015. So I'm sure older versions have their flaws, and the newer versions like this one, you're going to have less flaws. All right, taking a look at the back, you have a separate piece for the Mercedes Benz badge. Looks very, very nice. And also there's a separate piece for this kind of chrome trim along the trunk here. And it is plastic, of course, but at least it's a higher quality of a plastic. Norev does a great job with the taillights back here as well. I love the shape that they have. Again, there's no gap between the plastic and the metal as well. And you can kind of see the pattern going on underneath there too. Very cool. There's these lower, I guess they're reverse lights or taillights, I'm not too sure, but there's actually a small peg in each of them. So that's not really, you know, good to see that on such an expensive model, but the peg you can really only see if you're looking like directly at it. And the way that this is angled, it's kind of hard to see from a distance anyway, so that's not a big deal. And this model is very heavy overall. Like, you can just feel the high quality of it just because of its weight. And it is a very big car too. You can tell I can hardly fit it in this frame here. It's almost as big as that Bentley Mulsanne that I reviewed about 1.5 years ago. So in terms of opening features, we will start back here with the trunk. Kind of stiff to open, but that's a good thing. It shows that it's a very sturdy, like, you know, piece and all that. So you do get a fully carpeted trunk, as you can see here. The felt feels very nice in there and everything. There's a little bit of detailing. There's this kind of like latch in here. It's like done in silver. And there's this kind of plastic, like rough plastic piece here. I guess that's like the reservoir, so water like doesn't get into the carpeting on the real car. And the trunk does go all the way back too. So that's very nice to see. And the back of the rear seat's actually carpeted too, just like the rest of the trunk. Very, very nice, and they use a high quality of felt too, so it looks awesome. Go ahead and close that up. All right, now with the hood, you do get a button underneath, so we'll push that. And then, there we go, opens up like so. Not really too much to see on the engine, but on the real car, a lot of it's covered in this plastic and metal anyway. There's some dust back there, sorry about that. But this piece back here is actually made of metal, and so is this front piece here, kind of like that Mercedes Maybach I have. So some of the weight of the model can actually be traced to the metal pieces you see in this engine bay here. But the main part of the engine bay is done in kind of like one plastic piece. There is some wiring and some slight detail, but not really too much to really see in there. There is a separate piece for the Mercedes Benz logo, but that's really about it. They could have done a little bit more detailing, but again, like every other part of this model, like the exterior and interior, I'd say mix up for the lack of detailing on the engine here. And there is some detailing with that vent back there too, it looks like. And there is some kind of a liner underneath here. It's kind of like infused in the metalwork. It's like a flat black, but I'm sure it's on the real hood too, so it does look very nice. And there's the button right there that you push from underneath the model. See, it kind of moves a little bit. All right, we'll close that up. Then we'll take a look at the beautiful interior next. Of course, you do get all 4 opening doors. I'll just open up all 4 doors right now, and then we'll take a look around the interior. As I said, the rear doors are slightly longer than the front doors, I think because this is like the extended wheelbase version. So Norev does an excellent job with this interior overall. We'll start with the door panel detailing first. You can see all the buttons are separately cast and they're painted on as well. They give a nice kind of wood grain treatment along the center there. Very, very nice. And there's actually some stitching detailing on this portion here with where the window button is. And there's a nice texture along the whole door panel too. So they did a really good, nice job with that. And this door pocket down here is actually functional. So if you had 1/18 scale stuff, you could actually put it inside of that. Same thing with the rear door panels too. They're very well done. Only these are actually just kind of stamped on here, these seat controls, whereas on the front doors, they're separate buttons, or they're molded buttons. So that's a little bit of a lack of detail, but at least they put them there at all. And from a far distance, honestly, you can't really tell the difference. So that's an okay flaw there. You kind of get a better view with this lighting on this side on these door panels here, but everything is just very finely detailed. All the different buttons, the little seat control logos, and like all the memory controls, and also the 4 window buttons too. They do a very, very nice job with that. Of course, you do have full carpeting throughout the interior. Very nice feeling carpeting, I might add. And also in the back here too, you get that carpeting. And speaking of the back, both back seats have a little TV screen attached to them and they're turned on, and they say Mercedes Benz in the centers. And this seat actually has a tray table. You can't move it or take it out or anything, but it's a very cool touch. And this is actually an option on the real S550. So that's a very cool touch. Norev also does an excellent job with the seats. They feel like real leather, and the shape and everything on them looks very, very nice. They actually have fabric seat belts, as you can see here, with those separate metal buckles. So they do a very nice job with detailing those. This has the black seats with like the rest of the interior being beige and the top of the dashboard being black. I know that there's an option to have like the all beige interior, and Norev actually has several different interior colors on their models too. I think there may actually be a second diamond silver model with a different color interior. I'm not too sure. If you do a Google image search, you'll probably see all the colors that this model comes in. But the seats, excellent job. They look very nice. And the detailing on the center console and the dashboard is very well done too. The wood grain looks very well done. It has kind of like a shine to it. It looks like the real wood grain. All the vents are painted and are actually 3-dimensional too, so they do a very good job with that. All the buttons, you can see there's kind of a curve of buttons underneath the 4 vents there. They're all individually labeled, which look very nice. And also you can see there's some buttons surrounding the little shifter there. They all have separate labels on them too. And also the little storage door in the center there. A lot of this is very kind of reminiscent of that Maybach convertible interior that I showed, because they are kind of based off the same car. But in here, there are some different details. Like you don't have that Maybach logo on the storage door there. But everything else does look very nice. And you can see that the dashboard, I'm sorry, the GPS screen is turned on. You can't really see what it says on there or anything, but it looks like maybe a map of some sorts. And there's some buttons actually in the middle too that are separately cast. And you even get a little clock in the center there too. Very, very well detailed. On this side, continuing on with those labeled buttons, they're all over the steering wheel too, and also on the side of the steering wheel. They do a nice job with that. I think they could have done a better job with these stalks here. I think they should have some kind of labeling on them, the steering wheel stalks for the wipers and whatnot. But you can't really see them from any angle anyway, because the steering wheel kind of blocks them. And the pedals are nicely done too. They're done in separate black plastic pieces. Oh, and also you have the Mercedes Benz logos on the door sills, on all 4 door sills. So that looks very nice. And you do get a liner on the roof. There's actually separate separate visor pieces And there's some buttons and controls in the center there. There we go. There's a better angle. And even the little handles, like the that you hold on to. So we'll go ahead and close that up. And on the undercarriage, there's not too much to see, but what is there is nicely detailed. You can see they kind of do like a goldish color for the exhaust pipes and everything. So they're nicely done. And there's some chrome in the back here, but at least the rest of the exhaust looks very well done. Overall, this is a very nice model from Norev, and if you can find it for a good price, like that $90 to $120 price range, I'd say it's definitely well worth that. It definitely rivals that of Auto Art, but it's sold for like a much cheaper price compared to Auto Art models. But I'd say if you're a fan of Mercedes Benz or luxury sedans, this is a great model to add to your collection. As always, thanks for watching, and feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on the model. Thanks for watching.